Hey, it's been a bit. I've taken quite a bit of break through this summer from posting things and so forth, and just really enjoyed this summer. And it seems like it's still going. The weather is still nice, but this summer was awesome. I loved it when it was hot. Tell me, did you like it when it was hot, or do you prefer a milder summer, cooler? I think you need to go take a hike if you think it was too hot, because hot weather is lovely. And I think after working outside in the winters, even especially last winter, working outside in the winters for many years, man, I take every opportunity to enjoy the hot weather and just to soak it up and not complain about it. I told my guys, I said, if I hear anyone complain in the first couple of weeks about the heat, I said I was going to give them a boot. Because that means they've already forgotten what the winter was like and the struggles and that we had to deal with, the hurting hands, the hurting feet, everything freezing, airlines freezing, tools not working, material frozen over, and just windy and cold, to the point where your brain is having a hard time functioning and remembering what you're actually doing there and why are we even doing this. But you adjust and your body adjusts with the climate. But I think here in southern Ontario, we have some of the harshest differences of climate, I think, from Canada, as far as I heard, because we have such extreme different temperatures. We have high humidity even through the winter to where it feels so cold. It just, even a -1, it just goes right through your clothes and it's cold. But anyway, and that's not what I was going to talk about, is our weather. Anyway, that's all fine and dandy. Summer is great. What I've been telling everyone, and I've been told, maybe you've been watching, but what I've been telling you is that I was going to share a story that really altered a direction in my life and really made a big change and made it just really affected me. And it's something that I love talking about. This is not a one-off. To start off, I just was talking to someone the other day about this, but we often want to build everything. You build your whole life, you build your whole ministry, you build your whole message, you build your whole identity on one experience, and that's not it. I thought at first that this was it, but you know what? It isn't. You know what? God is about relationship. And I want to compare it to, similar to getting married. I got a fly flying around here. Stupid fly. Anyway, just here in my office, and man, I didn't know I had flies in here. So one thing I want to compare it to in the relationship is when you get married. Your marriage is not, foundation is not based on your experience on that one day that you met. It's not based on the experience of the day that you got married. Marriage is a culmination of all of those things combined, and it's a growing, and you're looking forward to the next moment. You're looking forward to the next experience. You're looking forward to the next connection, to the next revelation, to the next. It's a growing, thing. So now, with that, this one. So I told you about a long time ago when I was a kid. When I first heard Jesus, the word Jesus, or heard that I could pray to Jesus, it was quite the experience. I was like, wow, Jesus can be personal. All I had to do is invite him into my heart, but I did it every day. I wanted to make sure I was gonna be saved. I was going to make sure I was going to make it to heaven, because that's how they said I could make it to heaven. I had to ask Jesus. And I was never sure, and I just did it a lot. And most of you know, I grew up with a Old Colony background, and we were taught, we were actually not taught, we were actually told we cannot understand the Bible. We're not even supposed to understand the Bible. It's only up to the minister, and so forth. But when as a kid, and it was mostly that I remember now. Actually, it was a Sunday school teacher. When I first went to a Sunday school. It was actually a VBS in Mexico, believe it or not. The teacher, the way she talked about God, she talked in Low German. It wasn't in High German, so I could understand it. That was the first thing that just blew my mind. And she talked so happily. She loved telling the Bible stories. They were exciting. And I just remember, man, I was just so into it. I was like, I thought these just happened. Like the way she told the stories, I thought, wow, like I was just like, it just happened yesterday. It was just like when you tell your friend of what happened yesterday, when you made a bicycle ramp and you ramped it and you tell the detail with excitement of what happened, the result. That's how she told the story, and I was into it. I was excited. Jesus was alive and real, and these stories were alive. They were not just a fairy tale. They were not just something that happened a long time ago. It was something that became real to me, and it was amazing. I loved it. That was an amazing beginning of a new journey. But so over the years, as you grow older, somehow we tend to want to tell these stories with less excitement and less reality. Somehow these stories begin to be more disconnect, more distant. God all of a sudden becomes distant. To a child, we want to talk to them about Jesus, like Jesus is right there and loves them no matter what. But as you get older, Jesus begins to be a little further away because you have more responsibility. You made more mistakes. You're not as innocent anymore. And then God just just keeps going further and further away. And it was to the point where I thought God was just so far away, I just would never reach because I just couldn't keep up anymore. It's like God, like did you have a father or a parent or someone as a kid and you went to town and you're following them, you're going shopping and you're as a little kid, you're trying to keep up. That was my dad. When I went with my dad when he was alive in Mexico, we would go to different places, business, or whatever he was doing, and when he would walk, I had to walk I had to run, I had to try to keep up. And man, and he was just walking at his normal pace. He was just, high speed walker, I guess. And now I do that to my kids. I'm always walking. My wife and kids are always trying to fight through the crowd, trying to keep up with me, and I just plow through. Let's go. I got something I want to do, and I got a place to go, and I got things to get done, and let's just keep moving. And I'm not as gentle and aware of people around me when there's a big crowd. I just cut you off. I'll walk right between you and your friends, if there's a crowd, because I need to get through there, right? I'm just like, hey, this is just how it's in public. I got my space. I'm not going to wait around. But anyway, that's how it was. I had to try to keep up with my father. And that's how Jesus and God as a father felt to me. He was walking so fast and I could not keep up. I could not keep up with the Father because it felt like every mistake I made, I stopped on the track. It's like this journey we're on, right? We're this pilgrim's progress, right? We got to stay on this narrow path. We got to keep going on this path. And then if you make a mistake, you're wasting time, buddy, because Jesus is walking. You keep going. You're gonna lose your salvation, or you're gonna even lose time. You're gonna lose your opportunity. You're gonna lose your relationship. You're gonna lose your connection. You're gonna, your life is ruined. It's never gonna be pure anymore. So you got to stay on that narrow path, clean, and then be careful. If you get trapped, you're gonna be left behind. And that's how I felt with God. And you know what? I was not. Through my teenage years, I rebelled, did different things. That was more obvious that didn't really care. But at a point, got excited. I didn't look like the average person. They didn't like what I was doing. I dyed my hair, and somebody had a problem with that. So I figured, okay, I better not dye my hair anymore because that apparently is not godly. I had T-shirts with pictures on them. So somebody confronted me there was always these remarks that were made about the things I was wearing. So I was like, oh, I guess I shouldn't be wearing that. So I just picked up on little things like that, right? I was just being me. Wasn't intentionally being rebellious, but just being me. And just slowly these things, who I really was falling off. And I was picking up everybody else's idea and convictions. And I was trying to put them on I collected this suit of convictions from all these people I was around because I thought that's what I had to put on to fit in. I had to look like them. And that was me. Maybe it wasn't the people intention, but some of the and then that's just what happened. And you know what? We set ourselves up because we create that environment. We create that environment. That's the environment we have. Like sometimes they would say they didn't do it intentionally, but it's an environment that was created, and that's just what happens. It's a byproduct. The byproduct was performance and burnout eventually. Some people can keep up better than others because they're just their systems work. I guess they're systems oriented. I don't know. Their enthusiasm just lasted longer. You know, they can endure to the end. But you know what? I couldn't. I was done. I said I don't care anymore. I was like, I'm burnt out. So this is going back. Oh man, I don't want to get the year wrong. I want to believe this is going back numerous years. So I was to the point. So I was doing all the right things. I was looking right. I was doing the right parts, and you know, I thought everything was cool the way it was supposed to be. You know, homeschooling kids. That was, you know, one thing. You know, putting that on my wife was just, you know, she also believed it, but it was just not. This is just not who we were. But anyway, but we were trying to be like someone, and then. There was this one year, there was a men's conference that we were going to as a group, friends of mine. We were going all in a group. We were going to go to a men's conference, and it was yay. They were always fun to get away. But you know what? I don't even remember so much as in like this. Like I was excited. I was looking forward to what I was going to learn. Like, this was another thing that I figured, okay, here I'll get my dosage of energy, and then you know you're good for another year or so. You know, just to hear something like that, right? Um, so as a kid, so just to recap where I'm at. As a kid, I got excited. Jesus was close. He was personal. He was real. He was loving. He cared about me, and just it was a very natural, organic response, organic life with him, relationship with him. I loved it. Um, and then few years passed, actually many years passed, and as a teenager, all of a sudden I decided, well, like, you know what, I would love to revisit that Jesus that I had gotten to know when I was I was around maybe 10 to 12 years old. Between those years, I did that, and I got excited, and it was all very organic. Got baptized. I loved it. There was no, I didn't really dive in because of guilt. I just really loved it. It was a legit encounter with love, and it just, Jesus was still there, real. But then after that baptism, you know, a lot of people like they want to get serious, right? Like even us in Old Colony, you know, once you get baptized, you belong to church, you get married, and you become serious. You don't do the things you did before. Now you need to get serious with life, and that's what I did, right? And then as I was excited at first, but as life went on, things, the way I looked, I guess, the way I did things, the way I spoke, didn't really fit in. So I just kind of adapted and picked up things that I thought I should do, and it just, you know, I thought at first this was the new me. You know, I had to be completely different, right? And then, but no, like it's just sometimes, you know, if you're funny before you get saved, you can be funny after you get saved. Sometimes the funny guy gets all serious, and I'm like, dude, I want the other guy back. The guy, why are you so serious now? Like you, like, there's no, yeah, like all the fun leaves the door. Like it stays outside. I don't know. It's just weird, the kind of atmosphere that we sometimes create. Anyway, all that said, fast forward many years, got married, had kids. I was tired, and I was struggling with sin. I was struggling with porn. I was struggling with different things because, you know, it was always a struggle. But as these were things that were hidden and covered up, so you didn't. Nobody could prove that I was, you know, a sinner, right? So everybody accepted that I was just a fine man and just did everything right. And I came out and I confessed everything. I was done. We had somebody come by and talk about these things, and it just really opened my eyes that more people were dealing with this. And you know, I just came clean, told my wife, I was like, I'm done. This is not who, I just don't want to be this anymore. But I just didn't know, what to do. And then And then there's the men's conference. I might have some of these things not in the right timeline, but I'm just trying to. I'll get to the point of the story. And then, ooh, this is just good. We were gonna go to a men's conference, and I think it was called Act Like Men. Act Like Men's Conference. Yeah, I think they're still around. I think I saw something about that deal. That's why it triggered a memory when I saw the ad for it. And so we would go to Toronto and we check in a motel and we go to the conference. And, we go to conference and it's big, it's huge and lots of men and there's a band playing and they got a couple of speakers and, they bring in some, and then, but I'm thinking like, I'm not getting anything. Like, I don't remember anything about these speakers. I don't remember what they said. I don't remember what they taught. It's just nothing was really, it wasn't resonating. Nothing was, but as I'm there, the more I was just growing more and more. I'm like, I was giving up more and more. My white flag was raising up more and more, not because of the preaching, but just because I was like this. Let me be quite frank and not to offend you, but I just started to realize how much bullshit there was. All of this is just, they're like, who am I kidding? Like, I just can't do this. And then, funny enough, this is the funny part. What kind of triggered the most for me at that conference was Lecrae was going to play at that conference. And I was like, oh, cool. He's a rapper. I was never really conservative with music. I was open to different music. But then, we're sitting there and Lecrae comes on. And then there goes all the people that I was with, they get up and they leave. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess if they all leave and I must leave. So I kind of was like, should I feel committed? Because they're like, we don't listen to a rapper. It was so loud. There's so much bass. This isn't worship. People go to the front and there was like a crowd that was, cheering him on because he's a famous singer, right? Like famous artist. And it's like, it became a concert. It was no longer like about preaching. It was now a concert and Lecrae singing and stuff. And I didn't even know who he was. I had never listened to him really. I had heard of him, but I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how popular this guy was. I didn't know that he was a big deal, but according to the crowd, it looked like it was a big deal. So they go crazy, and I'm like, this is cool. I love sound. I love bass. I've always loved that kind of music, loud music. But everybody else, and then as we were in the foyer, there was so much judgmental comments being made about the artist that was playing and the people. He's like, oh yeah, look at them. People are worshiping the guy. They're going to the front and they're cheering him on. And I just remember making a comment to someone and I said, well, it's not his fault that people cheer him on. Like, it's not, even if somebody worships him, it's not the artist's fault. He's singing. And then I actually proceeded to look his story up, and his story was actually quite radical. And he reaching people that we would have never been able to reach. And I'm like, dude, the dude's doing something good. I'm like, who are we to judge people like with just observing with one concert of what they're doing? Like, we had it nailed down. This guy is not legit. He's not even a Christian. This guy is doing it for selfish reasons. We had it all figured out. And when I heard all these comments, that kind of really set me off in the way we're like, wow, like I had found out a little bit time before that I had been judged. There was an interesting comment somebody made. So when I first got baptized, this is getting a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I got to give some context, or else you won't quite understand. I hope you're still getting it. So a little bit before that, so my life had changed. I used to be kind of like, to make people understand, I was kind of like a punk rock mindset, baggy pants, t-shirt logos, skateboarding logos, whatever. There's nothing like nasty, but that was my style. I loved bright clothes. I did weird things, and it was according to people. But for me, I was having fun. It was just me. I like to be alive. I was having fun. And so that over time changed. Started wearing dress pants, button-up shirt. A little bit more formal, more conservative, more Christian. In our eyes. So it was kind of falling into that, and then And then somebody once came up and he said, yeah, they're like, wow, how they were just so thankful how my life has changed. And from a certain point to a certain point, in my mind, I had not changed. In my mind, I thought I'm still the same boy, same man that I was back then. I said the only thing I had really done was change my clothes. And I did have a different taste for a moment, but it was like convictions that I had picked up, and that's why you gain different tastes and different music. But they only saw, they related to that when I was a young man with the different kind of clothes, they had assumed I didn't care about God. I was rebellious towards my mother. I was just not a good kid. That's what was assumed. And now that I dressed better, now I was an obedient, nicer person. And I, in my mind, did not see it that way. I was actually more excited about life and about Jesus and about serving him, about serving people before I had changed my clothing style or music style, So that hurt. That I was just like shocked, like how had been judged from the outside. I didn't think I had been judged. I thought they hadn't seen me that way, but obviously they did. They kind of ratted themselves out, confessed it. So yeah, I went to this conference, and then it was just one of those things that just piled up. And then, there's the idea that if God is going to punish you. So this is another thing that just made everything so heavy. First, trying to keep up with everything, trying to make it work. And then the very one that's supposed to be your one to take your burdens or to be your comforter is the one that actually was throwing more weight on me. It felt like I thought God was putting more pressure on me to perform, to be holy, for he is holy, that mindset. And so I thought he was going to spank, he was going to whip me, he was going to punish me at any point. Because, I heard messages where, somebody was not really, in rebellion, and then God had, boom, killed someone in their family, killed their child, made them sick, or you had a car crash, something burnt down, or flat tire. But I was expecting the worst. I was expecting a bad thing to happen in my life in a minute, because God was going to teach me a lesson. He was going to punish me. It was his way of disciplining me, right? Wow, what a heavy, twisted mindset of God. But anyway, that was a norm mindset. And so I was waiting for it. And so one day I was just like, and it was like it was like that quiet, awkward parenting, thing. Like, you don't know when they're going to punish you. Punishment is coming. You're spanking us. You ever done that when you, as a kid, when your parents, like, they didn't say anything, they wouldn't tell you exactly when this discipline was going to happen and how, what, and you're just waiting there, that awkward moment, like waiting, and there's just tense, constant tension, and you're just waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden I just said, okay, God, this was in Toronto. I don't even know exactly where it was, but I just remember so clearly at this moment, in this place where I was at, I said, God, and it might have been even right at the conference. It might have been right at the conference, because I was zoned out. I couldn't even pay attention anymore. I don't remember anything what was said there. But this moment right here, it just really speaks when Jesus says, come to me who are heavy laden, I will give you rest. I will take that yoke that you got, and I'll put my yoke upon you, which is easy. One day I'll explain the whole yoke thing, which is also misunderstood. But I'm here at this conference, and I said, God, okay, I'll take the punishment now. I'm done waiting. Punish me now, because I deserve it. I know you're going to do it eventually. I know you're mad at me. I know I'm not keeping up with whatever I'm supposed to be doing. And I told him, I said, hey, I'll take it right now. Just do what you're going to do. Let's get it over with. Whatever's going to happen in my life. I was waiting for some tragedy to happen, so I would just take that as in God got me, and then I would get back serious and I would confess my sin. That would be the thing that would drive me, right? We always think that the tragedy is the one thing that's going to drive people closer to God. So that's what I wanted. I want to be closer to God. So I said, God, here we go. Let's do this. And I kind of was like holding back, closing my, like in my mindset, I was thinking, okay, I've really put myself out there. I've told him to do it now. And then you kind of block yourself hoping, okay, here it comes, right? And then something, I'm not going to say God spoke to me in an audible voice, but this is something that I can't explain. Something that not like something that convinces you that where there's no doubt ever again in your mind about something. It's like God says to me in a very clear and very tangible. First off, I feel an embrace. I genuinely feel an embrace. I feel there's this sense of peace, this sense of a hug, and I'm still wondering what's going on. And I'm like, this is from, I had never heard this before. Nobody taught me this. Because people often think I'm following certain teachers, I'm following certain preachers. That's not it. If I've listened to certain people, it's because a lot of it resonated from that. I feel this embrace. It's like this big hug. And then God says that, Henry, I've never, like, it's almost like he's shocked that I would say it. He says, I've never wanted to punish you. And in my head, the words was spank you, actually. I've never wanted to spank you or punish you. I'm not going to punish you now. I'm not going to spank you now. And he says, and I never will punish you. It's almost like he says, it's like the word I am that I am. He says, I was, I am, and I will. I was never going to punish you, and I am never going to punish you, and I never will punish you. He says, if anything, with me, you are safe. After not feeling safe for so many years, and always feeling tension in any moment, around this door, any moment, something bad, and I was going to attribute it to God. That freedom, that embrace, I'm still dismantling it. I'm still trying to find language for that encounter. And it wasn't that I was asking him to forgive me. I didn't ask for forgiveness. I just said, I'm done. I give up. It's either or. Let's be done with this. Let's be real. I'm facing you right now. I wasn't, in a sense, like humble about it, really. It was just not the reaction I was expecting. When I was expecting a belt, I got a hug. And he says he never would do that. And he says, I that's not who I am. That changed my life. That altered everything. My view of God just changed. Everything I read in the Bible just changed. I saw it with different eyes. Once I see the Father as love, all Scripture just started to, like things I missed and didn't understand. It just completely changed what I was doing. It can change how I saw people. I can now see people as who they are, not what they were doing. When they were a smoker, I didn't see the smoke, I saw the person. When I saw their clothes, I didn't see what they were wearing, I saw what kind of a person they were. I felt like I could freely speak to people clearly with understanding and how God sees them. And you know what? And that took me a while to get that language. It took me a while to understand what happened. And as I looked and researched, I found content, I found people who had similar encounters, and they had their language, and I picked up on theirs, and I gained some of my own language, and it's just so many things that I heard from then on just resonated. And when I heard people say and talk about God as a scary way or a judgment or kind of the mixture between grace, but yet you have to follow the law, I just couldn't listen to that anymore. I just couldn't hear that anymore, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I've misrepresented God for so long, and I was so psyched, I was so excited to share this, and I thought other people understood this already, so I talked about it, and then was not received so openly. But I genuinely just was in love with someone I did not know. I did not know that this person actually was love, and this person is Jesus, and that Jesus and that God actually look alike, and that Jesus that I had met as a kid, that was so kind and so accepting, so free to let me sit on his lap, was so open to chat with me, so open to embrace. And even when I would fall or when I would make mistakes, he was rather coming beside me and willing to within in the context of relationship, teach me and just guide me, and said, just walk with me, just watch what I'm doing, just watch me. Not with a belt, but he's just say, just watch me. Just watch me how I love people. And then I began to be able to love people like he did. I am still learning how to love him, because I'm still watching him how he loves people. I'm watching him how he does it. I'm watching how he responds to people, and I'm learning how he respond like that too. Oh my gosh. This is a story that is really important and special to me, and I hope this can encourage you and help you understand the context of where I'm coming from, and maybe you have a story like that. Maybe you have an encounter, but I continue to have encounters like that. It's just growing from there. Letting go of my idea of who God is, and letting him always reveal to me a better version of himself that I didn't see before. It's not that he changes, it's just my mind is constantly being changed. That's what Romans 12 verse 1, he says, it's by the renewing of your mind. It's not just a one-time thing. I'm constantly renewing my mind. I'm constantly changing my mind about how much better God is. And it always has this similar flavor. I'm not changing my mind like to the extreme where God is also in a different flavor, but it's always in the flavor of love and grace. And it's always improving. And it's improving my life. So that revelation that's improving is the side effect is it's improving my life. It's improving my soul. It's improving my mind. It's improving my capability of being able to have a relationship with people. That's what's a big deal. So I think Jesus is relational and real, and I miss it. I misunderstand so many things. I don't understand a lot of things. I don't know why this and that, but man, the goodness of God is just it's a tree. It's that mustard seed that just grows into a tree where we can find rest and shade in that tree. That is good. So that was a bit of a longer story. So hopefully you were able to have patience with me, and hopefully I understand. If you got any questions, feel free to shoot me a question, or if you got comments, or if you got similar stories, please share or share them with people you know, because the gospel is actually good news, and God, and Jesus, the Father, actually looks like Jesus. See you guys next time.